Have you ever avoided a difficult conversation because you were afraid of what might happen? Many couples stay silent, hoping the problem will simply go away. But sometimes the conversation we fear the most is the one that has the greatest power to bring understanding, healing, and even hope. Today's guest has experienced love, heartbreaking loss, caregiving, and divorce. Through it all, she's discovered that honest communication is one of the greatest gifts spouses can give one another. Stay with us because today's conversation could change the way you think about speaking the truth in love. Welcome to the Stronger, Deeper Marriage Show, where we believe stronger marriages begin with real conversations. I'm Lucille Reddick, the Harmony Expert. I've been married for over 41 years, and I'm passionate about helping couples create marriages full of peace, purpose, and passion. Through intentional communication, emotional connection, and faith centered relationships. Join me in welcoming my amazing co host, Pata Hall.
Thank you, Lucille. My name is Pata Hall, and I am a wellness warrior. I have been married for 39 years and counting. Um, Thanks, Lucille, so much for that introduction. Healthy marriages require healthy communication, emotional wellness, and the courage to have honest conversations. Sometimes those conversations are difficult, but they often become the turning point for growth and healing. I'm so excited about today's discussion because I believe every couple can learn something from Jennifer's story.
Yes, thank you for that, Pata. So today's guest is Jennifer Foster, an inspirational speaker, best-selling author, registered nurse, and founder of Love's Foundation, an organization dedicated to supporting families navigating pregnancy and infant loss. Jennifer's life is a powerful testimony of resilience, healing, and hope. After the heartbreaking loss of her daughter, Love, at just 21 weeks, she turned her pain into purpose by creating a ministry of compassion for others walking through unimaginable grief. In the years that followed, she faced the challenges of a difficult divorce, raised her two children as a single mother, cared for her mother through Alzheimer's disease, and experienced the loss of both of her parents within the span of just 3 years. Rather than allowing those seasons to define her, Jennifer has become a voice of encouragement, helping others to overcome grief, embrace resilience, and move forward with courage, purpose, and unwavering faith. She is the best-selling author of Happily Ever After Divorce and Soul Serenade, books that reflect her journey of healing, discovering hope after loss. One lesson has remained at the heart of Jennifer's story. Honest communication is one of the greatest gifts spouses can give each other. She believes that creating emotional safety, even when conversations are difficult, allows couples to speak truth with grace and gives relationships the opportunity to grow, heal, and deepen in understanding. Today, Jennifer joins us to share the lessons she's learned about courageous communication, extending grace, and finding hope even when life doesn't unfold the way you imagined. Jennifer, welcome to the Stronger, Deeper Marriage Show.
Thank you so much. That was quite an introduction, man.
I do a little bit. I do a little bit.
I like that. Thank you so much for having me, Lucille and Patter. I'm very excited to share with your audience and hopefully people can take away nuggets and help keep their marriage together and make it a stronger one.
That's what we're here for. Yes. And I'm so excited for you to be here. So thank you once again for your yes. But I'm going to start with
Welcome.
three
Thank
little
you.
snapshot questions.
Yes.
What is one word that describes your marriage journey?
Love.
Okay.
Love. And because even though I am divorced, um, I can definitely say that I have felt love for 11 years when I was married. Um, and I gave love wholly for 11 years. And I know there's many people that are married, 30, 40, 50 years that have never actually felt love. and never
Mm.
actually gave themselves completely. And I did. And so even though my marriage ended in divorce, for those 11 years, although we had rocky ground, I truly felt love and was able to give myself. So even 8.5 years later, the word is still love.
It's still love. I love that. So, what's one
Absolutely.
lesson marriage has taught you that has stayed with you?
To believe your instincts.
Oh,
Believe your instincts. Don't think them away. Don't make excuses for why you feel this way. Don't not ask questions because you think that your instinct might be wrong and it might rub your spouse the wrong way by asking it. You get instinct for a reason. Trust it. Believe it.
oh, I
And
love
that is
that.
how I move forward every single day. Instinct rules.
Okay. All right. I love that. I wasn't expecting that answer.
That,
So, I'm glad for you to unpack that. So, you've experienced, as I said in your bio, love, profound loss, caregiving, and divorce. How have those experiences shaped the way you view marriage and relationships today?
So, so where I stand now, I absolutely want to be married again. I loved marriage. I love the camaraderie of marriage, the friendship of marriage, the bonding, the experience of just having someone there on your side all the time, even though you're not in agreement all the time, but having that best friend there all the time. But my father passed 3 years before my mother passed, and they
Mm.
both passed after my marriage. And as much as I wanted to be married again, when I witnessed my mother experience the loss of my father, for a moment, for some time, I was like, I don't care to be married again because I didn't want to feel what she felt because somebody has to go first. Um,
Mm.
but in that, I remembered the reasons why I wanted to be married. It's a beautiful thing to have somebody that's going to be there for you through everything. Like I was saying that as a 40-year-old, 40 something year old. But there's beauty in what I saw between my parents when they were in their 70s, when my mother not cared for my father, but when my mother had that unwavering love for him as he was going through what he was going through. And as my mother was going through her Alzheimer's, I saw a side of my father that I don't even know if his closest friends and family ever saw of him, that he could only experience because of the love he had for my mother. So
Wow.
how has it shaped me? I think it's a beautiful thing, and I still want it. I still want to experience that type of love, and it's just made me see things differently because I was 28 when I got married.
Mhm.
So the things that matter now didn't matter, or the things that mattered then don't matter now. I just come with more wisdom, and I'm like, certain things just don't matter, and other things really, really, really matter that you just didn't even
Yeah.
consider in your
yeah,
20s. And now that I'm
Mhm.
yeah.
50.
Oh, I love that. So, can you
Nice.
share a little bit about uh the the change you saw in your father that allowed him
So
to
yeah,
care?
I will try to share that with a smile on my face.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry.
no, no, it's okay, it's okay, it's beautiful. But
Okay,
I
get your
had
tissue.
never right. I had
I got
never
mine ready.
seen my father cry before. And
Oh.
you know, he was 43 when he passed. Well, I was 43 when he passed. And
Mhm.
I had never seen him cry. I've never even seen him near that. And he's, he lost his mother, and I saw the stoic him be stoic, but I've never seen anything near tears. And so, as my mother was going through Alzheimer's, I remember once, maybe 2 or 3 years before he passed, he came to my home and he started talking about my mother, and he started talking about like what is he gonna do, like he, his daughter's divorced, his son, my brother's divorced as well, remarried, but he was divorced. And he said, and my wife is losing her memory. He said, this is just not what I thought it was going to be like. and
Mm.
and he had tears, and I
Mhm.
didn't I didn't know what to do because I'd never seen that. I wasn't expecting that. But they were married. They almost made 50 years. Like 2 months later, they would have made 50 years. And
Mm,
Wow.
so the that kind of love I had never seen between him express for her. I've seen it, of course, but not in that
right.
way. And then earlier on in the year that he passed, like several months before he passed, he was at my house again, or maybe the year before, and we were talking, and he was like, what am I going to do? He said, right now your mother's manageable. He said, but what's going to happen in 5 years from now or 10 years from now? Like, what am I supposed to do? And I said, well, I'm going to help you, Daddy. He said, you have your own family. I'm like, you're my mother and father. But his thing was like, that's his wife, and he is supposed to take care of her. And
Mhm.
I let him know though, like, I'm gonna be here. And he shed tears because he just could not imagine like her continuing to progress. And he did not see her continue because he passed first. But
Mm.
that's the type of reason why I still want to be married. I don't want that to happen to me. I want to
Right,
keep the
right,
memory. But
right.
the way that the caring and the love and those deep feelings that can be drawn out of the man as my father, who was such a proud man. I thought it was a beautiful thing. I thought it was such a beautiful thing, such a beautiful show of love.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
As Patta and I have talked about it, that marriage gives you an opportunity, just the state of marriage gives you an opportunity to really connect with somebody on such a deep level.
Mhm.
Um, with the years that we've been married, just being able to experience that, because we never thought we would get to this other side that of blissfulness that we're experiencing right now.
Right.
It's been those seasons of ups and downs and everything, but
Ups and downs.
that is
Yeah.
Just
so
glad we
sweet.
stayed the course and we did it. But it just, Jennifer, it's great to hear about such a wonderful example that you had in your parents' marriage.
Hmm.
Um, that is just that's wonderful. And even though you've been through a divorce, you still want to be married and you understand everything primarily because of the foundations that your parents set for you all. So
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely.
amazing.
That is, that is. So, one thing that stood out to me from the questionnaire was the statement you made that communication is key. Why do you believe that honest communication is one of the greatest gifts spouses can give one another?
Because I hope this is not like skipping through all of your, I hope the answer to this does not skip through all of your questions. But in
That's
my
okay.
case, the communication is what kept us to get married for 5 more years. So as I tell my story, many women say, "Oh, I would have left." I'm like, if you would have left the first time, then you weren't fully in it. Like,
Hmm.
so my story, I don't know, should I tell the full story or do you want to?
You can. You can share as
Okay.
much as you want to.
You
Go where
share
the Lord
whatever
leads
you
you.
like to. Yes.
So we were happily married. We actually didn't have anything to break us up other than he wanted to be in a polyamorous relationship. He
Oh,
wanted to have a wife, and he wanted to have girlfriends and friends, and uh, go out on dates and do all the things that you do as a single man, not as a married man. And
hmm.
so the first 6 years were great. We were married for 11 years. 6 years in, he said that he wanted to have sex with other women, which for me, I did not find that to be abnormal. Many women think that's odd, but I'm thinking if you've been together, married for 6 years, dating for close to 4 years, like at some point, maybe not at that point, but at some point, somebody's going to have an imagination. Like, I wonder what it
Mm,
would be like. But
mm,
but you're not supposed to follow through with it. But
right.
having the thought, to me, I didn't like it. But it didn't make me feel like my marriage was over. It was just like, that's very honest, and I appreciate the honesty. He
Mm,
said he didn't want to do it, but he or he wasn't going to pursue it, but it was heavy on his mind.
Okay.
And so we went to counseling. And at the time, my son was a baby, like he was 4 or 5 months, something like that. And he never slept. And you know what happens when you have brand new babies that don't sleep? Nothing else
Yeah.
gets done.
Right.
so,
Nothing.
so I chalked it up to that I wasn't being the same type of wife that I was before him. And
Mhm.
so I got my son on a sleep schedule, which we needed anyway, regardless of this need to have sex with other women. I got him on a sleep schedule. And that was the last time that I said, this is my fault, because I wasn't the same person. After I got him on a sleep schedule, which didn't take but, a month or two, I was back to who I was. And so I thought the problem was fixed. But then about every year, it would come back up. It would then be, I think I want to have an open marriage. I think I want to see you with other women. All of these things that none of them that I signed up for marriage. And
Mm.
so fast forward 5 more years, which is 11 years of marriage. He said he's can no longer be monogamous. He's polyamorous. And that was, I wasn't, no disrespect to anybody that's chosen it, but it's not for me. And
Mhm.
so that's why we ended. And so your question was, repeat your question.
Why do you say communication is key?
Right. So for me, the first time he said it to the last time he said it, I appreciated the honesty. I know some women like they don't want to know. They would rather not know. I'm like, no, I want to know, and then let me make my decision on what I want to do with that information. So when I would tell women, well, first of all, communication should be between you and your spouse, not everybody else. So
Mm.
when I told people, this is after we got divorced. When we got married,
Gotcha.
we decided that we could only talk to a particular couple, a married couple, that we were both. It was his cousin, and we both agreed that we could talk to them. They're our safe people. We could talk to them without having to tell the other about it. But other than those two people, we couldn't talk to anyone else. And
Mm.
so I stuck to that. I don't know if he did, but I stuck to that. So when I say I told people, this is after marriage. But I would tell women the story, and they would say, I would have left the first time he said he want to have sex with other women. I'm like, well, why would you do that though? Like that then means he's not going to communicate with me honestly anymore. And so
Mhm.
every time he would come to me every year, it weighed heavier and heavier on me, but I still appreciated the honesty of it. It's actually the only thing I appreciate about the end of my marriage. I appreciate the honesty of it. And I remember um, uh, the year before we got divorced, we were going through this again. And he said to me, he said, as much as I want you to stay with me, he said, I commend your strong belief of what you believe in. Like he's
Mm.
telling me this as I'm saying, I'm not like, this isn't happening. I had talked about divorce the year before. And even in that, he said he appreciated where I was coming from. And so, but you can't get there without honest communication. You can't get to that point. For all I know, I could still be married now and just not know what he's doing had I shut him down the first time. So it's
Mm.
very, very important. But it's more important well, I know we're talking to people that are married, but for people that are not married, it's so important to have that communication before you even go into the marriage so that you know what you're dealing with, so you know how each other communicates. But if you are a married couple and you don't have that strong communication, you have to start developing that now. Like it is so important to express those hard conversations. Even
Mhm.
what I like to do when I have to have a hard conversation with anyone is I will say, because it eases the tension on me, I will say, I have something that I need to talk about and it's hard. So this way I feel better. I've told you that this is going to be hard, and it kind of takes away the sting, but the conversation has to be had.
Right. And it sets the tone of the conversation off the
Exactly.
bat from the beginning.
Exactly.
I like that. If you see me looking down, I'm taking notes. So what I like about what you said is y'all had a safe couple that you guys had agreed to talk to kind of
Mhm.
bounce some things off of, and I think that is so important. That from my perspective, the people that I've been able to talk to about my situation have really, really been the I don't know if you'd say the catalyst of they were so important to my journey, to me even
Mhm.
making it to 41 years, because absolutely I needed somebody to talk me off the ledge. So,
Yeah, same
but
here.
so whether it's a safe person that you both have a couple that you both have agreed to, or you have someone, and it needs to be somebody who's for your marriage because
Exactly. Don't talk to people that aren't for your marriage. They'll get you divorced
Really quick.
really
real
quick.
quick.
Because I had a close girlfriend from high school that I talked to early on in our marriage, and anytime I took anything to her, it was, "Girl, I wouldn't put up with that. You want me to get the U-Haul?" I was like, wait a minute. I'm just venting. I'm
Right.
not.
Right.
I'm. I can't leave. I've only been here 6 months. What?
Trying.
Exactly.
It's so good to hear that you guys were at that point pretty much at the beginning of your relationship where both of you agreed on, like you said, whether or not he went through with it or not, but you guys agreed we're gonna these are the people that we're gonna talk to,
Hmm.
because like we're all heading, you can't fix your marriage outside of your marriage. You have to start in, and you really have to have people like you just said, Lucille, that are for you. And
Mhm.
Hmm.
sometimes our girlfriends love us to death, but they don't always give us the best information.
Right.
Right.
And a lot of times that information is coming from our girls that are not married and never been married too.
Right.
Right.
That part.
I'll just say that.
That's true.
And sometimes we can't even take it to our moms or our parents or whatever because they love us and they
Right.
they may not be that that
Objective.
parent, yeah, that objective parent that'll say,
Yep.
Now look, I was blessed with a mom. She was old enough to be my grandmother. I'm adopted. And anytime I took anything to her, I was selective about what I took to her. She'd always say, "That's your husband." Now, I'm not talking about any abuse or anything like that,
Hmm.
for the audience to know I'm setting the stage. But she would always say, "That's your husband. Y'all need to work it out." And she didn't hold a grudge. She,
Hmm.
when she saw
And
him,
that's
that
the
was
way
her
it should be.
son-in-law.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was her son-in-law, and she loved him to death, and she was gonna treat him as such. But like I say, she was over 60 years old when I got married, so almost 70.
Right.
He had grown
I
into
never
to
had
being
that
there.
option. My mother has been married 6 times. So,
Oh wow. She wasn't the one to go to, huh?
no.
No.
So
Learned that very, very early on that you needed somebody that could be objective, because if you go to a family member, they're going to take your side. And even though you and your husband may have resolved the issues, they're still going to have it in their
They're gonna
head what you
remember that other
told them
thing.
about,
Yep.
oh, this man, are you with him? I can't
Yep.
believe you, Brian. I can't believe you did that. They're still going to have that energy towards
Yep.
your spouse.
Yep.
So even though we need to vent as women and we need to talk to, we need to really be selective on who we bring into our marriage to talk to.
That's right. That's
absolutely,
right.
absolutely. And then the other part that I liked about it, I wrote down, it says you guys were open to each other. Like he was listening to you. The comment you made that he said that even though he understood that this wasn't for you, that he still, from what I'm hearing, he held space to really hear you say that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because some people would just
Yeah.
go on, oh, I'm not listening to her. I'm just gonna say what I gotta say or whatever. But it
Yeah.
needs to be a two-way thing. And then finally, I love what you said by prefacing it. This is going to be hard.
Yep. Yep.
We're
It,
gonna.
it
I need to
takes the
have a
sting
conversation.
out of all conversations, all hard conversations, and it just sets the stage for no matter what follows it. It sets the stage for it.
It
Yeah.
So
does.
true.
It does. Yep. I love that. Um. So you shared that your husband felt safe enough to honestly tell you something that was incredibly difficult. And so, although it ultimately led to the end of your marriage, What did that experience teach you about creating emotional safety in a relationship?
It taught me to continue to be like that with everyone. Like that's how I am with my children now. Now they were much younger; they were 5 and 9, and I didn't have to have like hard conversations with them at that age. But now that they're older, 14 and 18, um, it showed me what communication can do. And so I feel like if they were in this room with us, they would agree. I hope so. But I feel like I create a very open space for them, um, by just always remaining open, um, having a listening ear, not a critical ear, and yeah, just having a critical ear and not judging the thing that I'm hearing, not judging what's coming to me, not judging the conversation, and just listening for understanding before I even speak. And something else. This is what I taught my father, which I try to do with my children and with my friends. My father used to always want to teach something. He always wanted to teach instead of listening. And so I remember in my mid-20s, I called him, and I actually was wrong. I really did need to be taught at this moment, but I didn't want to be taught at that moment. And I remember in my mid-20s, I called him, and I was so upset about something that I created. I was wrong. I created a very unsafe situation. Long story short, I heard a woman making racist comments, and I was trying to politely correct her, and she didn't want to hear that. So I called my father, and I was just venting about like how I was just trying to help, and then she went off on me, and then he told me all the reasons why I was wrong, which he was right, but in the
Mm-hmm.
moment I only wanted to vent. And so I told him later that day, like, sometimes I just need you to listen. Like, I don't always need you to teach me. You can teach me later, but sometimes I need you to listen. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I try to do with my children. Sometimes I'll say, am I listening? Do you want advice? I say it to my friends too. Do you want to hear my part, or do you want me to just listen? Because either way, I could do either of them.
Either
So
one.
I can do either one. So I think it's good to just be the safe space for whoever needs to come to you. Be the safe space. Always create that environment of safety.
Hmm. I think Pat has shared a story on one of these podcasts about the same thing with her telling her husband that I don't want you to fix it.
Right. Just
Yeah,
listen.
a lot of times you want that communication, and you want not necessarily affirmation, but you want to know that you've been heard,
Right.
Hmm.
and sometimes we don't get the outcome that we want, but we do feel better because we were able to express and they received it. Now, what they
Right.
do with it, I've learned you can't control other people.
Nope.
So, but once you have shared what you need to share with them, they might not do as you had anticipated or hoped that they would do, but it's away from you now. You can no longer. That's all that you can do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You can only
In
control
addition,
what
in
you say.
addition to prayer, that's all that you can do. You can't make that person do that. It's hard
Hmm.
to control our children. It's nowhere in the world we can control another adult.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Yep.
Hmm.
have to watch my words on this show.
Yes.
No way we
But
can control another adult.
Yes.
right, right.
But
And
I've always felt better, like you said, with that intuition when you're feeling something. If your gut is telling you you need to talk about this, you need to say this, because what happens, you keep pushing it down, and then it builds and builds, and then you go off, and you don't even know it's all these layers.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But when that intuition tells you, okay, I have to have this hard conversation. I don't know how it's gonna go,
Mm-hmm.
but it has to come out of me. So, and I think
Hmm.
all those things for me in my marriage has just been learned. I got married when I was 20, so I knew absolutely zero.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a baby, so it was just a lot going on, okay?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. But to your point, both of you guys, um, talking about trying to share something that you feel is important with adults, whether it be a spouse, a close friend, a sister, brother, adult child, whatever. Um, I have gotten to the point from years because I used to really be trying to make these people do what was best for them because it really was best for them.
Yeah,
But
can't do that.
but they didn't see it. So that wasn't helpful for me to be trying to force them to see something that they just wouldn't see. But I have started saying, have you considered?
I use that. I love that because it means move however you want, but have you considered? I use that. I love it. Yep.
I'm leaving it in your hands, but you're not gonna say I didn't tell you. Have you
Yes.
considered
Yes.
this, that, and
Yes.
the other? Is to think about it this way or something like that. So yes, yes, yes.
Yep.
Well, many couples avoid the difficult conversations because they're afraid of the outcome. And I would say early on in my marriage that I was afraid of the outcome too. I would say I would have to be pushed to have a difficult conversation. So I don't know if I picked the fight or if I was waiting for the fight. Does that make any sense? Like I had to be
Mhm.
angry. I felt like I had to be
To bring
angry
it up.
to really share it. Like, okay, now you done pushed me to this point. Now I can and put it out. But you know, that was probably just my crazy mind. But to that point, maybe there's somebody else out there that's avoiding having an important conversation with their spouse. What would you say to someone that's avoid trying to avoid that?
Well, oftentimes people avoid those difficult conversations because they think they know the outcome. They think they know what their spouse is going to say. But they would be surprised if they actually had the conversation that it may go much better than they suspect it'll go. I suspect my ex husband thought the conversation went much better the first time, maybe not at the end, but the first time, I'm sure he was like, wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So I think it is very dangerous to hold things back because of what you just said, Lucille, because eventually it's going to be said. And if you hold it, then when you do finally say it, it erupts as opposed to saying it while you're calm. You can get out what you really need to say when you're calm. When you're angry, you speak in anger and you don't even really voice your concern the proper way anyway. And if
Yeah.
you don't voice it the proper way, then the person can't hear you the proper way, and then you still have the problem.
Mhm.
So it is best that when you feel it, talk about it. Don't sit on it because it's not going to come. And here's the other thing: people can't hear you when you speak in anger. They just can't hear
Right.
you,
Right.
and they can't receive it because now they're defensive. When you're
Exactly.
bubbling up and speaking anger, now they're like defend, 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 and they're like, I didn't even know. Like you're mad at me, I didn't even know. You know why you didn't know? Because I didn't tell you. I waited too long. So there's so many reasons why you need to say why you feel it. It feels better when it comes out.
What happens when you get what's wrong with you?
Right.
You're like, you don't know. Like, how can you not
Right.
know what's wrong with
No, I
me?
don't know what's wrong with you
I
because you
don't
didn't
know.
tell me. And now you're mad at your spouse when you didn't really have to be mad at them. Like you could have talked about this when it first came up. And now you're just a little bit upset or a little bit of whatever the feeling is, as opposed to it being times 10 because you held it. And it
Yes.
just creates a much bigger issue. So it just
Yeah,
and
because then
here's
you
the
have a
other
laundry
thing.
list.
A laundry list. Yes. And here's the thing. If you're going to say anyway, if you're going to talk about this laundry list anyway, whether it be now or when your anger is bubbling, then why don't you talk about it in the beginning since you're going to have to talk about it anyway?
Yeah.
Because the outcome will be so much better if you talk about it in the beginning because it's going to come up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, girl, I almost
Because
threw
it's
away my whole
hard.
marriage. Yeah, it is
It's
hard.
hard. It's hard.
Whew,
But I
that's
almost threw away
yeah.
my whole marriage because I didn't talk about something. Let
Mm,
me let me tell
mm.
y'all.
And see,
My
look, you're
husband,
41 years. Look what happened. 41 years later, this would have never
yes,
happened.
it never would have happened. But the thing about it is and this is the part I want to bring up in what you said is we think we know what the outcome is, but also if that's not the right language for somebody in our audience to understand, is we think we know the intentions of the person. Let me give you an example. Um, I'm talking to my safe person about that this marriage thing is not working. I want a divorce. And so she starts asking me some questions. Is there any abuse? Is there any is he running women? Is he no, is he a cheater? Is he a abuse a drug abuser or drinking excess? All of these things. I'm like, no, 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 but he's not doing any of those things. He won't help me keep the house clean. And I said, for an example,
You're gonna throw away the marriage for that?
hold on. This is the part. I told her, I said, for example, he'll sit down on the bed, take off his socks and shoes, and throw his socks over towards the hamper. See,
Wow.
they didn't make it in the hamper, and he won't get up. Now, what that all you guys see is that he threw his socks over there. He's a little messy. That's all you see. The conversation in my head said he saw them doggone socks, and I said something with a D, but not doggone. He saw them
Uh-huh.
doggone socks, and he purposely left them there to disrespect me and to piss me off.
Mm-mm.
So that's the conversation that some people are having in their head is that not that I know what the conversation is going to be, is that I know the intentions of the
Take it
person who
personal.
has wronged me. So why have a conversation about it? I'm not gonna have no conversation with
That's
him when
true.
I already know in my mind I'm totally wrong. I'm wrong. Let me just
Uh-huh.
say that. But I know in my mind, in my heart of hearts, that he saw them doggone socks and he wouldn't
And
pick
he
them up.
wanted to bother you, which
Yes,
is
I
not
took it
true.
personal. He saw them socks. Now I'm gonna
Right.
tell you. I'm gonna tell you. I did a whole TED talk on this. It was called "Don't Focus on the Socks." And what I realized in leading up to 41 years of marriage, knowing more about myself, knowing more about my husband, is that you know what? Because somebody asked me, my safe person asked me, well, did you ever tell him about the socks? I never said anything about the socks.
I didn't even say anything.
No, because I knew it. Like I said, in my heart, I knew he saw them doggone socks.
Yeah,
He didn't
right.
care, and that was what it was for me. If I really could put words to it, was he didn't care, and he didn't care for
Mhm.
me. He didn't care for uh my labor because I'm always picking up and moving stuff. I'm not the super neat person, but there are certain things I like for things to be in their place, and I do all
Mhm.
the washing. So that was my thing, but coming up on 40 years of marriage, a few years back when I did that TED talk, I said, y'all, you know what? Because my husband is not like that at all. He's
Mhm.
not trying to ruffle no feathers with me or nothing like that. Um, he probably thought that he was doing a good thing because he could have easily just left him there near the bed. He at least got him over there near the hamper where all I had to do was when I was picking up my other stuff, it was nearby.
It was over there.
So you see, audience, I want you to hear. It's all in perspective.
Mhm.
It's perspective. I took that as a slight that he didn't care for my labor that I was gonna
Yep.
have to pick up these doggone. It was right near the hamper. What's the big deal?
Yeah, because sometimes I've been guilty of that too. We have a whole narrative
hmm
about a sock, and they're like, "Why you? What? This is like, if we're gonna talk, let's talk about something. This is nothing. I just forgot to do it or something." Like you say, when
Right.
you do kind of talk to them, you're like, "Oh, I took that personally." Like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay." But like through those learned experiences, like you say, now it's no big deal. But at that time, you had to work through that. And that's what we're trying to share with our audience. It can be something as simple as a sock.
Mhm.
That's the
Mhm.
conversation. If it bothers us instinctively, if our intuition is not right with us, if it's building up, we need to have a conversation, not in
Yeah.
Yep.
anger, like you said, Jennifer, not in anger.
Yep.
A lot of
Mhm.
times I've learned have not to be in anger. I've learned a process. I've learned sometimes to say, I really want to talk about this right now, but I'm not in the correct space. So
Mm-hmm.
we will have this conversation tomorrow or whenever, because if I do talk about it now, words are going to come out of my mouth that I can't put back in.
Yep.
But
Yep.
that was this been a learned process, because 20 years ago, words was just
They was
all over
flying.
the place.
Yeah. And it's not fair. It's not fair to your spouse that you're holding something that they don't even have a chance to correct it because you never told them. And so they keep doing it. You keep thinking you're being slighted. And it's really just not fair to them that they don't even know that this is happening.
That is an
Yeah.
excellent point that you bring up. Can y'all still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good,
Yes.
good, good. Because I couldn't hear myself for a minute. But I heard a woman's tape. She was teaching a Bible study at her church, and somebody, no, they came to my church, and my husband, they had two for buy one get one free, and my husband bought this thing. It was a series on how to avoid bitterness. And when he bought it because it was a good deal. I don't think he bought it because he thought I was bitter. Because when he said it, I was like, I'm not bitter about anything. But just what you just said was on. I used to listen to those tapes when I was at work, and she said that if you don't tell the person that they're doing something that you don't like, they don't know. They just gonna keep on doing it thinking it's okay. And so how
Mm-hmm.
unfair is that not to tell and share with the person, be honest,
Mm-hmm.
not come like Patty said, don't come in anger, but pick a good time where both of you can be calm and have the conversation. Hey, when you do this, it makes me feel this way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then just have the conversation. Because I've had it ain't been but about 10 years ago that I learned to even have those words to be able to have conversations. And I'm serious. I learned that phrase in a business class. I was going back to
Ah.
school to work on my degree, my master's degree, and in one of our business classes they were talking about how to manage people and how to get along with people, and that was one of the phrases that they use, like that was to really have the conversation. When you do this, it makes me feel like this, and an
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
example with that would be I'd say to my husband, hey, when you leave dishes in the sink, it makes me feel unloved and unappreciated. And I remember when I had that conversation with him, he was like, "Oh, I didn't know it made you feel that way. Okay, well, I'll stop doing it then." Because I'm thinking,
Me
like
too.
I said, I'm talking about just 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
The dishwasher is right here. The sink is
Why
here.
is this is gonna say?
The dishwasher's right here.
Uh,
When you came in here, there was nothing in the sink. You have to know that this is pissing me off.
just like that sock, but like you said, you had to learn, because probably back in the day when he first did that sock, you'd be like, this sock gonna stay right here for weeks, or you laid it on his pillow.
No, I would pick it up. I've learned now that if he keep doing that, I just go put it up. I've learned how to get it off my head now. Either I'm gonna do it or I'm not gonna do it. So, so
Like you said,
Man,
Jennifer, communication is key.
it's key.
Communication is key.
It's key. It'll hold you together.
exactly.
Yep.
So, so
And
let me ask you
you've
this.
been so honest. I
Oh, go
often
ahead.
hear women like, I want him to tell me the truth. I want him to tell me the truth. But a lot of times we don't want to hear the truth. Like you just said, how many women don't want to hear that from their husbands, or I want to go have sex with other women. They don't want to hear that.
Yep.
But we say we want the truth, but we don't. So what could you tell our audience of kind of having to have that balance, or kind of bring that up? Because I know plenty of women, oh, he better tell me, and then something happens later and they find out, and it's like, I ain't even have to know all of that. Dang.
Or what? Or don't know how to unpack it. What do I do with this? It's just the end of the
Yeah.
world. But maybe you guys, like
Right.
you say, y'all were working through actively working through it
We
for five
actively worked
years.
through it for 5 years. We did. Yeah. I think that, the idea that women say, I want to know the truth, and then it comes to them and they go off, or they're like, I didn't need to know all that. Like you have to, if you truly want to know the truth, then you truly have to be, I want to say mature, but that's not a fair word. But you truly have to give grace to whatever their truth is. Like if you
Okay.
really want to know, then when they come to you, you have to one, respect the fact, not respect, but one, um, show grace because you asked for it. Like I could have been like, I don't want to know what you're doing. Don't do it. And I don't want to know anything else. Well, then I could have stayed married. But I mean, for me, it's
What's the point?
honesty first. So
Right.
if you are someone that truly wants to know, then you also have to be a safe space for it to be told to. And if it's something like what you said, Pat, where you're like, I didn't even need to know that. Well, that's the part where you have to choose your words because you can get information that you don't feel like you needed to know and have the conversation about it anyway without, I didn't even need to know that because guess what, next time he's not going to tell you, and that might be something you did want to know. So you don't want to make it where you turn them off because you're blowing off the thing that they thought was actually important enough to tell you. So
Okay.
you got to be consistent. Either you want this honesty or you don't want this honesty. But if you want the honesty, then you have to allow them to be honest. And it
Honest.
doesn't mean that you can't be upset with the honesty. I know my ex-husband will always say, um, I'm honest with you and you don't even give me any credit. I'm like, no, no, no. I give you all the credit for being honest, but you want me to accept your honesty, what you're being honest about. I don't have to accept the thing that you're being honest about, but I do appreciate that you're being honest. And that's where some people get hung up. They're like, well, I was honest. I should be off the hook. No, 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 no. I still feel a way about what you're telling me, and I'm allowed to feel a way about what you're telling me. So there's a fine line that like like he felt like um, you're acting this way. I'm being honest. I'm like, no, I respect that I want you to be, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to allow me to then feel the way I feel about what you're being honest about. Like you can't negate how I feel just because you were being honest. So
Yes.
I think that when couples have these conversations, they have to come in fully open and fully listening and not come in with I'm being honest, therefore I'm off the hook. Or I'm being
Mhm.
honest, therefore I get whatever it is I'm asking for because I'm being honest. That's also not fair communication. That's not honest communication because you're not coming in honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Great point. Great
That's a
point.
great point. You can tell me and be open with what you want to share, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna be okay with it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can still feel a certain type of way. And the other part you brought up though, I love that you said that word grace, yes. Uh, but people need the information in order to make an informed decision.
Yep,
If because if I'm under the assumption I'm moving with my life in a way from the assumption that I have that we're on this track. But if we're really on this track over here and you haven't told me,
unfair.
that is not fair at all. Because I could make some other decisions,
Right.
and you're not giving me the opportunity. You boxing me into going on this track when that's not the track I want to be on. I want to be on this one over here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I love
Hmm.
that. So what does now you've built a life after tremendous personal loss and disappointment. You've shared with us the loss of your parents, the loss of your baby, the loss of your marriage. What encouragement would you give someone who feels like hope is slipping away?
I would say that, and it sounds so cliche, but I feel like I'm allowed to say it because I've been through it.
Hmm.
Let time be your friend. I promise you, when I lost my daughter, I did not imagine that I would ever be able to live a normal life after that. And I remember I would speak so low, and I'm loud. I don't know if y'all could tell on here, but I'm loud. My, my natural voice is very loud. It is not purposeful, but I'm loud. I'm expressive. I'm trying not to talk with my hands while I talk to you, but I'm very expressive. Like I don't just, so but when I lost my daughter, I literally couldn't hear my own voice when I would speak. And I wondered, like, will I ever be able to hear myself? Like, will I ever be me again? Like, will I ever like get back? And my children were young. My son was turning 2 and my daughter was turning 6. So they were very young. And I
Mm,
remember for the first week, I couldn't even take care of them. My mother-in-law would come over every day and take care of them. Like I would be there, but I wouldn't be doing anything. I would just be there. And I was like, I didn't think that I would ever return to me. But with time, it actually does change things. It really
mm,
does change things. And I learned, so 10 weeks after she was born, we went on a vacation to Barbados. And this vacation was already planned before she passed. And I didn't want to go, but it was already planned. Like we could go and enjoy it, or we could choose to stay home. And I did not want to go. And I was like, you know what? I can be sad at home. I could go to the beach and be sad. So fine, whatever. I'll go to the beach and be sad. And every Sunday, because she was born on a Sunday, every Sunday I would wake up either crying or in tears. And at some point that day, if I didn't wake up crying, I would cry at some point that day, every single Sunday, because it would take me right back to that. And
mm,
so we go to Barbados, and on Sunday, we go on this tour, and we get on the tour bus, and the tour guide says, "How are you today?" And he doesn't know my story. And I was like, and I heard the question, and I wanted to say, I'm not good. Because it was like, I felt like I wasn't allowed to be happy. I wasn't allowed to laugh. I wasn't allowed to smile. I wasn't allowed to have a good day. And so when he asked me how was I wanted to say, I'm good. But then my brain was like, no, you're not. And then it was a battle. I was like, no, but I am. And so I'm battling, and I was like, I'm actually good. So what came out my mouth was, I'm good. And so the day goes on. I have a good day. Sunday night comes, and I realize today is Sunday. I didn't wake up sad. I'm happy, and I'm allowed to be. And I gave myself permission to be happy and grieve. I gave myself permission, like it is okay to do both. And so that's what I would tell the audience: is it's okay to do both. It's okay to move on. It's okay to be really sad, and things will get better. And if you allow time, I promise you, in 9 years, I lost my daughter. About 2.5 years later, I lost my marriage. About 2 to 2.5 years later, I lost my father. For 3 years, I took care of my mother through Alzheimer's. And then 3 years after losing my father, I lost my mother. I promise you, this is not what was going on back then. 9 years
mm.
back to back to back to back to back. But
Mhm.
if you allow time, things will get better. Things will change. And I always say, ride the high when it's up, when things are good, but don't stay down too long when things go down. Because there's always gonna be a high and there's always gonna be a low. You gotta learn to ride in the middle. And so what I learned through grief was, with my daughter, with my father, and with my mother, I'll have days where I'm really happy. And I have to let myself be happy. Like I can't beat myself up, because guess what? You just lost them. You're going to be sad again. So it's coming. It's coming.
Mhm.
And then when you're sad, don't worry, you'll be happy again. So if you can ride the wave in between, that's when you're winning. So for those people that um, they're ready to let go, like I promise you, if you hang on, it will get better. You just have to allow time to be your friend and learn to just live in the middle.
Live in the middle. I love that. I love that. Jennifer,
That's
this has
great
been such
advice.
an encouraging conversation. I'd love to invite my co-host Pata in to have her conversation about the wellness moment.
Well, first and foremost, I was going to ask you a question, Jennifer, but you just answered it. My question was, well, like, what practices helped you to protect your emotional and physical well-being during these seasons? And you just stay in the middle. You just gave our audience great advice. Enjoy the ups, get through
Rise
the lows,
above.
but don't stay low too long, and find that
Mhm.
place in the middle. So you already answered that question I had for you. But just a reminder to our audience that today's conversation reminds us that honest communications is not just a marriage skill, it is also an act of wellness. When we carry unspoken pain, fear, resentment, or disappointment, it does not just affect our relationship. It affects our body, our sleep patterns, our nervous system, our mood, and how we show up every day in life. But when we create space for truth, which you've spoken your truth and given us pointers on how to be honest, when we create that space for truth, spoken with grace, compassion, and love, you allow room to heal. That provides the space for healing. That does not mean that every hard conversation will have the outcome that we hope for, which we discuss.
Mhm.
But honest communication can bring clarity, emotional release, deeper understanding, and sometimes the peace we did not even know we needed. So this week, I want to encourage our audience to check in with yourself before you check out emotionally. Ask yourself, what am I carrying that I have not honestly expressed? And then when the time is right, choose one loving, honest conversation. Not to blame, not to win, but to be real. Because healthy communication supports a healthy heart, a healthy mind, and a stronger, deeper marriage.
I love that.
Yeah,
So thank
I
you,
love
Jennifer, for
that.
all of your points and the advice that you're giving our audience on how to maneuver all these different seasons in life, not just marriage, but in life.
Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
having me. This is a great conversation. I hope that your listeners can take something from this and build a healthier, deeper marriage and friendships. And I just hope that they're really able to take something away from this. Again, I thank you for having me on here, Lucille and Pat.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank
So,
you. Thank
was
you.
that your takeaway that you wanted to leave with our listeners, or did you have something else?
My takeaway is to, again, back to one of your questions that you asked about uh, my marriage, my greatest takeaway from my marriage. Also, I want to say the same thing. My takeaway is always trust yourself, trust your gut, um, always believe in yourself first. Do not second guess yourself. You will
Okay.
win when you believe in yourself.
Okay. All right then. I love that.
Gotcha.
All right.
Gotcha.
So, we'd like to end with a heart to heart challenge. So, what's one meaningful question that you'd encourage couples to ask each other this week?
How am I doing? How am I as a wife? How am I as a husband? Um, Give me 3 ways that I can improve and three things that I'm doing great.
Okay.
It'll give me
Three
some really good conversation.
that three things to improve and three things that I'm doing great. I love that the two sides there.
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
so tell us how our audience can connect with you. Tell us about your speaking ministry, your happily ever after divorce book, Soul Serenade, Love's Foundation, and how people can connect with you. Any of those that you want to share with our audience.
So on Instagram, I can be found at jenniferfoster.77. That's JENNIFERFOSTER.77. On Facebook, I am Jennifer Foster. Um, Love's Foundation I need to be clear, and I wonder if my wording is not right or I'm not sure. But Love's Foundation went on for 3 years. And when
Mhm.
I got divorced, I was not able to continue. That's still a deep contention within me. But
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
I just wasn't able to continue. My children were too young, and I couldn't take away the time to build that. Because
Gotcha.
I also used to do 5K runs to financially support the foundation. And so um,
Gotcha.
the book is called Happily Ever After Divorce. It's under my married name though, Jennifer Speed. which is Jennifer, last name spelled S as in Sam, P as in Peter, EED as in David. And it can be found on Amazon, and Soul Serenade, which is a beautiful story about my father and ours relationship, is also on Amazon under my married name, Jennifer Speed.
Okay. All
And
right.
that's
Love that.
me.
Love that. Okay. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing your heart, your story with us today. One thing that I love about today's conversation is that you've reminded us that honest communication isn't always easy, but it is essential.
Yes.
Real love creates space for truth, grace, and understanding, even when the conversations are difficult. While we can't always control the outcome, we can choose to communicate with honesty, compassion, and courage. And sometimes it takes that courage. Thank you for reminding us that healing is possible, hope can be restored, and every conversation has the potential to change a life. So, if today's conversation encouraged you, please like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone you care about. You never know, one real conversation could strengthen a marriage, restore hope, or change a family's future. Remember, strong marriages don't just happen, they're built through intentional conversations, intentional choices, and intentional love. So, this week, have one heart to heart conversation. Choose grace over assumptions. Choose connection over convenience. Choose each other again. Until next time, I'm Lucille Reddick, and this has been the Stronger, Deeper Marriage Show, where we believe real conversations, stronger marriages. God bless.
God bless.
Bye. Thank you.